I think I've learned many things from working with you, but one of the key concepts is this idea of recovery, that you can't expect to be relaxed on stage all the time, and we're up against it at times, and some of the music we play demands such a range of emotion. But we were playing the Schubert Cello Quintet, which is incredibly exhausting and fulfilling piece to play, and I was playing a bit of the last movement for you and saying how tired I usually am when I get to that moment in the piece. And you noticed that I was a bit kind of down here and kind of grabbing my legs, and you said, well, just this moment here, you've got a couple of bars rest. That could be a time to recover, just to check in with yourself and to think about whether you need to be down there, whether that's really helping. And so I think you suggested I write something in my music, like release your legs, as a reminder. So I've come to feel that with the music wellness program here, that it's incredibly supportive. It's very beneficial to me in a number of different ways, and I feel like you and Matt Tomatz, who I'll talk about as well, are kind of companions on stage, and really help me to have a healthy and positive experience.
And we sort of share some students along the way. A number of your violin students, you've suggested that they work with me, and we tag team back and forth in this regard. And also with Matt in some of the therapy groups that he does with the music students here. And I really love the fact that you use the word support and recovery, because that's really what we want to do. We are here to help, we want to support, and we have a great team of myself and Matt and the folks over at Wardenberg and Speech and Hearing to help support our students. The college talks about the universal musician. We want to have our students be able to go out into the world and to share this material so that they can be leaders in this regard.
I love the variety of offerings that the music wellness program has, and it's for the students, and selfishly it's for me in my career. And really, we grow when we're challenged by things. And what I like about the way the program is set up here, one of the things I like is that it understands that as musicians we will have low points, and it's at those moments where we need support and we need different strategies for thinking positively, and actually how we deal with those low points and those challenges as students and as professionals is really what defines us, perhaps more than the successes that we have.
Agreed in that. And one of the things that I talk to about my students is when they have those moments, when things go wrong, that will help them if they see it in the way that you're describing it. This is an opportunity, it's a challenge, so that we can then take that forward and literally for the rest of our lives' careers.
Yeah, and I think that's this idea of challenge and how do you deal with adversity on stage is why I first went to see Matt Tomatz. Because I was doing a lot of, as I still do, touring a lot, and sometimes you're on stage and for whatever reason you don't feel that great. And I'd just come off a tour where I had flu and was really struggling, but I wanted to get some advice from him about how do you deal with that mentally when you're not feeling great. And Matt was incredibly, he's very calm and sensible and compassionate, and he made this very sort of seemingly obvious point to me that had never occurred to me, that even when things feel pretty low, that it's the nature of the work and of playing the instrument and the long-term relationship. There are ways to train your mind to be focused in a healthy way. And so I really feel like the combination of what the Alexander technique offers and what Matt offers is a sort of an ideal combination for me as a professional, and certainly something that I strongly recommend to my students.
And what Matt does here with the what he calls therapy groups, the group therapy sessions in this very room, students have the opportunity to sometimes unburden themselves of these issues. And 30 years ago, when I first started with this work, that was not an easy thing for people to do. And part of my goal, or our goal, I should say, is to change that mentality, to really work with that in our whole community of musicians and students and administrators and faculty and staff, so that we're more open about these things, so that we can really heal around them. Because if we're hiding and not being our full selves and somehow holding things back, we're not going to be able to be the full musician that we are.
What I love about the wellness program here is I think it's tremendous encouragement for students and for myself to find your voice and to really kind of explore what that means to you and what your sense of identity is. And I think certainly we recognize that students are under tremendous pressure and that they have good reasons to be anxious sometimes, and this is a compassionate environment where those feelings can be addressed, and we can learn physically and mentally how to be to really enjoy what we do more. I think that's what it comes down to, and to be more wise and more aware of how we use ourselves. And what I love about this wonderful space that we're in is it's the most gorgeous setting. It's very central in the College of Music, and I think this reflects that as violin teachers now, we understand that you can't separate, you can't just teach finger motion and how to do this particular bow stroke here. If you're going to separate that from people's wellness and their sense of well-being, you're not going to get a good result long term.
Because as my mother used to say, taking care of yourself is your #1 job. But then that allows you to take care of your students as well, and it really shows in the results.